Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
I know you're wondering what we're going to talk about.
Like always.
I had an interaction this morning with a lovely client, and what involved is she'd been, disfigured, permanently disfigured and scarred following a terrific incident. Mm-hmm. Terrific in the negative sense, due to negligence. And the defense was getting her and her husband's medical records and all other records that they could. These are younger people. And the issue was, well, why is this relevant? Mm-hmm. And so that set my brain off, because this conversation happens with most of the clients. At some point they say, well, how is that possibly relevant? And I say, well, all they need to show is that it could possibly lead to the admission of relevant evidence. They don't have to show it's relevant. It possibly could be relevant. And it doesn't even have to possibly be could. It just needs to possibly lead to what could be relevant evidence. Basically everything. So in discovery, you have no safety zone when you bring a lawsuit, at least here. The judges don't protect you from invasions. And I can tell you, this happens dozens of times every year to our clients. So when we start representing someone, we say, you need to tell us everything, even if you don't think it's relevant, that you might be ashamed of or anything. And people invariably don't initially, because they don't even know you. So I wanted to talk about that, which is what it's like to have to trust a total stranger instantly. We have a fiduciary obligation to our clients, right? We are in a relationship with them instantly that's governed by protocol and rules of professional conduct. But from a human standpoint, we are expecting our clients who have never met us before to open their guts and tell us the things that they're most deeply concerned or worried or ashamed about that are probably completely not relevant to what's going on here, but that the defendant might get their hands on to try to make them so uncomfortable that they want to settle the case. Most of it never ever gets to trial. Like 90% of this garbage that they'll look out for, I call it garbage. Not that I'm trying to disrespect life, because there is no such thing as a perfect plaintiff. We don't want that. Mm-hmm. But they'll spend so much time looking for, rats searching for cheese, and once you find the cheese and you're looking for more cheese, going all these different rat hole trails. That's what the defense does. So I wanted to talk about what that must be like for a plaintiff who's at their most vulnerable. They've been injured, or someone they love has been killed, and terribly injured in our case. And now you need to somehow remember and say everything bad that happened to you so that your lawyer knows, so that they can protect you during this process called litigation. I thought you might have some insight on that. And I had a second conversation with one of my best friends who's been my friend since kindergarten, Liz. And we were talking about boundaries. And she had it described to her as, you're the princess in your castle, which I like that, the princess in the castle. And it's like you have different levels of people that are in your intimate circle. You have people that are on the other side of the moat.
Moat?
The castle, and then there's the moat around the castle.
Okay.
You have those kind of people which are not, you have people are on this side of the moat but not inside of the castle walls. You have people that are in the castle walls but not inside of the palace. You have people that are in the palace but not inside your quarters. I love that description. I know that there's many other ways of coming up with these descriptions. But when you hire an attorney, right, they're on the other side of the moat.
Yeah.
You don't know them and they don't know you. And you have to let them all the way almost instantly, and you know this from being also a public defender.
Yes.
They need to let you inside your princess chambers. You might not call them princess chambers, but I call them princess chambers.
Princess chambers.
So, what is that like for somebody to have to do that? And how can we as lawyers make that process better for them?
It's really hard for somebody to do that. I mean, they're coming to you because of a need, and then that need has to then be justified. And then you're asking them not only to justify the need, but you're asking them to justify, maybe this is a little dramatic, but their entire existence. Like, tell me all. That's really difficult, but it's par for the course. Is that the right way of saying it? Par for the course?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, Mike, let's start with you. Okay, something happens to you terrible, and you have to go get a lawyer, and they say, well, you have to tell me everything, because so the difference between criminality and what I'm talking about, a plaintiff, is that at least the criminality is related to a specific event, and is a little bit more.
Well, and some evidence can be excluded, like sometimes their past record won't be allowed or something like that, where what you're talking about is the plaintiff coming in. And
I have emotional distress. Yeah. That opens up the world, because...
What about if they're a drug user?
Or what about if their mommy was mean to them?
Yeah, whatever.
And they were...
Always, or they got in a heated argument with someone in a public place, and it was filmed, and now it's on the internet.
Or they have an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
Or if they suffered abuse.
Yeah.
Or if they had, like you said.
Or if they have weird sexual proclivities or something like that.
Or if they were an alcoholic.
Of course.
Mo, you're not even adding to this. Look at Mike and I are riffing.
Because you guys are really good at this.
I mean, all of that comes in.
And all of those are things, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but all of those are things that I have heard have happened that the defense has used. Whether or not, well, almost always, most of that stuff has nothing to do with the case.
And we're able to keep most of it out of the trial because it's such a distraction. But sometimes some of it comes in. I tried a case with a person that was an alcoholic before, and it was all about alcohol.
And I'm sure you've had a case where someone didn't tell you stuff that came up.
Yes. But why wouldn't they tell you stuff? Think about it.
Well, because it's really hard to do that.
And this is what I'm talking about, is like we want them to instantly tell us.
And you don't, I mean, let's just, for the sake of this argument, say that I'm the client. Yeah. I don't want to, maybe this is stuff that I haven't told my partner. Maybe this is stuff that I haven't told anyone ever.
Like we have gone to medical records and seen STDs from
that only their doctor knew about.
Yeah, from outside the marriage.
Yeah. Or you find out that there's a affair going on.
Yes.
Something like that, which they also don't want to talk about because it's this most secret thing that they're keeping in their life.
But the defense will weaponize it.
Oh, of course.
And this is why a lot of people don't want to pursue litigation.
But there's some things you can ask the judge to protect. If it's something so profound that like you haven't disclosed it to your family and it's clearly has nothing to do with the injury you've suffered, you can move to ask the judge to protect it. But here's the problem. The lawyer needs to know so they can do that. Yeah. If you don't tell the lawyer, that's what the lawyer wants to know. The lawyer needs to know everything so the lawyer can be very proactive and try to keep most of it out and do this stuff. But when you're in your mind thinking, well, this isn't related, and so I don't need to talk about this, that's natural because we're outside the moat. They don't know us. That's what I'm talking. So Mike has talked about, his helped us. So we're outside the moat. All this stuff is going on. How do we just how as a person do you just say everything to a person that's outside the moat? What has to happen for that to occur? There has to be rapport. You have to build a relationship with the client.
The person outside the moat has to somehow very quickly
get themselves across that bridge into the walls of the castle.
And into their private chambers.
Yeah, well, eventually into their private chambers. But I mean,
right? It's like not like that's.
It's
quite a journey.
asking you. It's asking me to allow you to be my best friend on the first day that I have met you.
And this is why the attorney-client relationship is so potentially, I mean, first of all, why it can be very strong and why it can also be potentially disastrous. As in, that's why I don't handle and never wanted to do domestic cases, because my mother did, and I would watch them instantly connect, and then, then something, the other spouse is being bad and doing this and this, and all is well until things aren't well, and then the lawyer becomes the target of the client, because you're not only in the personal chambers, you are almost like a family member. You are too entwined. There are no boundaries.
They also don't have anyone else to direct their anger at that point.
So
and you've gotten yourself in really, really close,
yep.
And it's easy to just take all that anger and point it at you.
So here we are. You got to go through the moat, breach the castle walls, into it, go into the chamber, and maintain a boundary at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, Mo, I know that you are particularly good at maintaining boundaries. So I would like you to tell us how this works.
I just started thinking about like when I was a bartender and how people used to frickin' share with me the most deepest, darkest secrets. And I was a bartender. I wasn't even a lawyer. Well, and I had the whatever you called the moat. I had the bar. And here's the process of how it happened.
But I mean, you've got the alcohol as a lubricant for them talking there. That's a
very
little bit
good
different.
point, Mike.
Well, the alcohol was the lubricant.
And you're the one providing the alcohol.
Okay.
But even more than all of that, and one of the reasons why I think sometimes it's easy for you guys to jump that gap and be able to work. Sometimes people feel easy letting that stuff out when it's someone they don't know. So, and also someone that their problems are never going to come from you back into their life and affect them in any way. They can offload it almost like you're a therapist.
Yeah.
In addition to feeling good because they're drinking alcohol, they then can feel good because they've got whatever they had weighing on them off their chest.
I think it takes time. I mean, it wasn't like somebody showed up at my bar in the first night and they had a couple of drinks and started Niagara Falls. It took time. They would come back like on a weekly basis. They knew me by my name, and then, they would come in and say, I'm having an affair. And they would just tell me that. And sometimes they were sober telling me that they're having an affair. Or they would tell me something about a deeply personal problem that they're having and asking a 20-something-year-old guy about suggestions about what to do about it. I think people want to talk.
Yeah.
I think people want to share. And I think lawyers have it sounds like a pitch, but you can just tell them, everything you tell me right now is confidential. It really is. The only reason I need to know is, one, I need to know you. And the second thing is that the only way I can tell you about what may happen, provide some predictability about what the hell is going to happen, is you got to talk to me. You got to speak with me. And I think you have to spend several occasions early on just speaking with the client and not talking about the case. That's just my approach. Other people like different approaches. They want to immediately get into the meat of the case and start talking. I use words like, how are you feeling? Because I'm really interested to know how people are feeling. I'm curious about that. But other people are different. I think that
I'm very different. I do a Spock mind-meld.
What?
I call it the
a what?
You know Spock?
Oh, you mean
Star Wars? I do the mind-meld. I can do it instantly. And, I really also believe that, think about back when you were in high school. Were you the kind of person that people just would talk to and tell you stuff? Or were you not?
I was.
I know.
I was a little combo because I've always kept my cards very close to my vest, and I also have the ability, if I want to talk to people, and they seem to want to talk to me in those situations. But generally I don't like to be around people.
A lot of lawyers, and thank you for your frankness.
That's-
but a lot of
You
lawyers,
like to be around us.
A lot of
It's
lawyers.
different at work.
Okay.
Okay, the prototype lawyer, they were not the person that people wanted to talk to.
No. That's why you need paralegals.
Well,
No, it's
so
true.
good. It's so true. But it's also like
Good point.
So with voir dire, which is another topic, like I need you to tell me your deepest, darkest thing. Like, are you a racist? I mean, I need to know those things. And how are you going to get it?
And that one, you're not getting to meet with them. But with voir dire, you have just stepped in front of 12, 14 people, and they have
How are you gonna do
to
it?
believe you enough to say stuff. And I'll tell you, from my experience, some of those people look like some of the people on the jury might have not answered correctly to the questions they were asked.
Yep. and here, so the way I operate, well, if you think back, like I said, to high school, it's hard to if you have it even back then, there's something about you that intuitively people trust and want to do. And there's some obvious things. Number one of the most common ones, I've done a lot of seminars where I've talked to people, and who's the kind of person that people would talk to in high school, who wasn't. And yeah, you can kind of see it. And what they typically share is being what they think is one of the reasons, I think they're universals. Number one, no judgment. That means that when someone comes and tells you something, you don't just judge them and pronounce the cure or the decree of this is what you're doing. So no judgment. Number two, no immediate attempt to fix and cure. Like, number three, of course, is listening proactively. 4 is eye contact. So they're all connection builders. And so for me, when I call mind meld, that's about how much time I have with a juror, sometimes I've done it with a plaintiff that I didn't think I was going to present in a mass, tort, or a witness that I didn't, someone else worked with that witness. I need to make that instant connection. And I also agree with Mo's approach. But that ability to connect instantly, especially with a client early on, I feel like that is so important. And what you said about, that there's something prodding them. They have a need, so they know they have to reach out beyond their comfortability to get that need met. They need to understand that we are there in a fiduciary capacity and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, there's some lawyers that do not do that ever with clients. It is their paralegals, or they're, another lawyer in the office that's their specialty or something.
Yeah.
They just don't do it. And then there's those that really connect deeply and on different levels in different ways. Mo is one, Ray Koehler, I've talked to you about before, like, oh, yeah. You would think like, nah. No, he really connects because he spends so much time and he's so freaking smart and straight and unruffled and non-judgmental.
Yes.
He's had clients stay at his house.
And vice versa. And he's so kind.
Yeah. He is so kind.
Yes.
He has one of the most tender hearts.
I mean, I just will never,
Yes.
him being the guardian of the dog after the client passed away for 7 or 8 years. He was the guardian of that dog, and he took it very seriously. So everybody has their different things, but I thought that the process of going, from on oversight coming in, and what the client has to go through to do that, how vulnerable they are.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, for me, I haven't ever had to get an attorney, but last year when I got my surgery, for me, it's a little bit like they're giving up their power to you and putting their trust that you will represent them and be their power. Where when I went in for surgery, I mean, I'm having to trust them with my life at that time. Yeah. I mean, my heart was on a machine for a while there. Yeah. And they had to shock me back to life, which my wife was there for and said, took a bunch of times and really scared her a lot.
I did not know she was there for that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, she is a brave.
Yeah. She was there when they were doing that. And
by the way, Mo and I were talking the other day, and we were talking about you and your wife, and just how cool it is. You know, what a great relationship you have, and people can't see you because, you know, but even I just mentioned her, and, you know, his whole face lights up.
Yeah.
It's just really pretty special.
She is. But yeah, I mean, that was the thing for me, is that it's giving up control. Mm-hmm. And that's a really hard thing to do. And I think that's also when people can get extremely frustrated with their attorneys because they feel that they've given up all their control and it's not being used correctly.
Right. Or promptly or timely or respectfully.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I just, you were talking about your surgery, and I remember how concerned you were. I remember you.
Oh, I'd never gone under. Like, that was my first thing, was I had never been under anesthesia. Like, every time I'd ever been on anything like that, it was like the lighter version where you were still awake.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've heard it described how it was going to happen. I mean, for me, that's like it was a big fear for me. And it was, I mean, now having it happen, it's still kind of a fear of mine. I mean, you're like off and then on again. It's really weird.
I remember that.
Well, that was what I wanted to talk about today, was just putting ourselves in the shoes of our clients and what it takes for them to have to tell us the stuff that they tell us, which is so often completely irrelevant to the fact that someone ran over them or someone, you know, accidentally didn't pay any attention and set something on fire and burned them up. I mean, you know, somebody failed to do what they were supposed to do under their job description and killed somebody. You know, you don't think that, 20 years ago I had an eating disorder, and now they're going to focus on that because they have pre-existing.
Because they found the records that said that you had that.
Yeah. So anyway, that's done.
Okay.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.